No harm done. There was an ad put in place at the start which we didn't know was going to pop up, but anyway, that's sort of for now. Listen, once again, welcome to the DL Debate. Appreciate you tuning in. Now on the radio, we're back via podcast. Another packed show in store this evening. Shortly we'll be speaking to GAA correspondent Ger Treacy to discuss all the weekend's GAA action. And a new feature on the show, a life story in the next couple of weeks as we build up to Championship. We're going to do a few life stories. Colin McFadden will be on the show next week, but this evening we have Nadine Doherty, and what a story she has. A remarkable career and time in the GAA. Unbelievable reading through it over the weekend. I want to put a shout out to Mickey McCann this side. Well done for reaching the Division 2B League final, coming up short against Meath. But listen, very impressive league campaign from Donegal. All eyes now on the Nicky Rackard again. On the underage front, it doesn't look like Ger Treacy, from what I'm hearing, will be back, unfortunately. We're waiting to see what the next step is for our academy. In the meantime, Luke Barrett and his team are doing their best to keep things ticking over, and after the back of our under-20s, of course, beating Antrim last week on penalties. Our under-17s lifted a trophy for Donegal, beating our neighbours Derry 1-9 to 9 points. That was the Jim McGuigan Cup. Well done to them. And after the match, we heard from their manager, Luke Barrett.
Wee bit of something special about it.
Look, again, it's nice to win, and it was, listen, it was always going to be a game that was going to be cagey and go down the stretch. They hadn't been, they'd played in dominated games as well, and we felt confident we could compete with them as well. So look, we brought it right down to the end, and we were fortunate. I think, to be fair, the boys spotted a bit of danger there. The keeper was a bit of bother, and we pounced on it, but it could have went either way. Look, there was chances either end, but we're delighted to come out on the right side of it.
5-2 up and in a good spot, going in 1 point in it at half time. Were you worried?
It wasn't more worried, more than disappointed, because I felt that we had, particularly after 15 minutes the first half, we had got a couple of scores. We had left a couple of scores out there as well, and we were the architects of our downfall then, because we conceded 2 handy scores then, so we would be disappointed with that there. But look, we have a lot of confidence, these boys, that they know what they're about, and they're buying into the team ethos of everything as well. So we had preached that it was going to go right to the end no matter what happened, and fair play, and they dug it out.
9-6, 9-7, it was, home team had possession for quite a bit. He's got the freeze, he's kept hanging in there, but the grit in that performance has to be something that pleases you, I'm sure.
Well, look, the big thing that we're preaching and training is about the team, and it's always about playing for the team in every situation and making the right decisions for the team. And to be fair today, I thought they did that in spades, and they showed real courage towards the end as well to just with a bit of reckless abandonment go after it, and they did. And I'm fierce proud of them, very, very proud of the efforts, because a lot of people would say it comes to a game and you win or lose, and particularly even Derry, people are saying we won today and Derry lost. The work that these young fellas are putting in away from the pitch and the gym and the time commitment that they're giving on every side is astronomical. I don't think people understand it, so for that there, I'm delighted for the players as well.
So obviously a lot of discussion about the academy situation. I'm not going to go into that here, but I think this is the first group that came through it when it started, I believe, or close to it.
Yeah, look,
the work has been done.
Yeah, these boys have done a bit of work as well, and there's a couple under 16s as well there, 17s, and look, they're just a nice group of players as well, nice mix from last year. They're bought into the whole ethos of developing as well, but I think every player has to do that now, and every team has to do that, and look, I'm just delighted for them as well, but these boys are the first ones through, so I'm delighted for them as well, and look, it's difficult times in Donegal football, so hopefully now this can be a wee boost for the teams around us as well, and hopefully all teams can have a good run the championship and start moving things forward.
And finally, just on the championship, the minor championship tends to change format different times. You've something completely different now.
Yeah, look,
similar to the league.
It is, and I don't know how we feel about that yet. We have 3 games in 10 days, and that's a real tough ask to play. You're playing Wednesday night, you're going to Newry on the Sunday, and then you're going the following week. You're playing for Derry then, so that's going to be a really tough test, but and then you get into the knockout side of things. So look, our first and foremost, our objective is to get into the knockout stages, and then we're going to deal with it from there, but each game on its merit, and we'll be preparing for Fermanagh now coming on.
Yeah, good man, well done, Luke Barrett, and our under 17s. Yeah, Yeah, well done, Luke Barrett and their under-17s. Mighty stuff from them indeed. And now we're going to look across the action from the weekend, and a man that we've been me and him has been known as the dream team. Maybe I think we may give ourselves that name. It is Ger Treacy. Ger, how are you?
Come on, Brendan. Yeah, that makes me smile. That comment.
Rolling back the years, we had a good rattle at the times in the old commentary there, Ger. Of course, people have even played the commentary. The famous Kevin Cassidy shot against Kildare that day in Croke Park. Me and you were shouting and roaring. It's the only time, Ger, in all the time I've done commentaries that the studio come in and goes like, "What at a time, please." My apologies.
That was a memorable evening, I have to say. One of the many that we had together in various commentary booths over the years. But I have to say that evening in Croke Park was extra special. What a game, what a story, and what a point to win it. What a point.
It lives long in the memories. I say I've met Donegal people randomly. They've had it on their phone. They've played back at that clip. I mean, it's brilliant stuff. Jared, tell me this. This season, I mean, we started the season, Fermanagh and Donegal were a long way off in terms of looking at league standings, but next season we're clashing heads again. Yourselves and Cavan going up, of course, at the weekend, joining ourselves in Armagh going down. It's going to be a serious Division 2 next year. Ulster battles everywhere, it's the same as Division 1. I mean, really down unlucky not to go up themselves. Should they go up next year and everybody stays, you'll have 7 of the 9 counties in 1 and 2.
Yeah, I mean, who would have ever imagined that, Donegal and Armagh would be in Division 2 and be joined by Fermanagh. I suppose a lot of people had Fermanagh down as one of the teams that maybe might be looking over their shoulder in terms of relegation to Division 4. But, I mean, it's been a terrific year for Fermanagh and achieving their promotion. However, I suppose last Saturday evening was disappointing. The performance was disappointing. So that sort of takes the shine out of the loss of it a wee bit. But I suppose the main aim was to get promoted, and that was achieved. And it was hard, probably, Brendan, for the lads to, after investing so much time, effort and commitment to get over Westmeath and Cavan the 2 previous weekends, to turn around again a third week in a row and perform at the level that would have been needed to beat what was a very good Cavan side. So, look, it's overall a good season, but I have to say I was taken aback by the fall of Donegal and Armagh. Yeah. I didn't expect either of them 2 teams to end up in Division 2, but here they say the league doesn't lie, and that all adds to what should be an intriguing Division 2 next year.
Certainly. So it was a serious season in terms of comebacks and 1-point victories, and it was an amazing run by Fermanagh. You really got the sense from the management down to the players, and it's something I suppose some Donegal people have talked about here in terms of not having Donegal influence maybe on the team. There seemed to be a real Fermanagh bond pulled again around the side, and there seemed to be real identity with them again, really a spirited team.
Yeah, that's probably a fair comment. I mean, Kieran Donnelly has come in there, and look, Kieran's just an avid football man. Loads of experience with colleges and Oma CBS and so on and so forth. And then on the club scene with the likes of Calvin Gales, Eric and Kieran, Scottstown, and has been successful with all of those. And he came in there and picked up from Ricey, and first year found his feet, and reasonable enough year, achieved Division 3 status fairly comfortably, and then the championship was slightly disappointing. One good win over Longford in the Tailteann Cup, but then knocked out again by our nemesis Cavan. So. But I suppose the fact then that he was able to call on players like Shea and Lee Cullen, the twins that are back, that was hugely important. Alton Callum was available this year. Shane McGullion, who has probably gone under the radar, was missing for 2 years with injuries. He was back, and Cian McManus was back. And maybe the key thing then added to that is that them lads that won the Hogan Cup in 2019 with St Michael's, there's 6 of them in the panel, and they're 5 of them started on Saturday evening. They're a year older, I should say, and a year more experienced. So when you put all that into the mix, and then you take the unity and the passion and the commitment that Kieran has brought to the table and to the team, I think it's been a good mix and a good blend. And he brought in Roland O'Neill this year to do some work with the forwards. And Roland's, I'm sure you know him well. He's a very likeable, very infectious lad. He's had a great impact so far on the team. So all of that has added up into a nice cocktail that has got us to where we are at this juncture.
Yeah, indeed. And Youth Fermanagh boys are having influence everywhere. Obviously, Derry are on the march steadily, Ger. And before we get to the game, which was quite a strange game, Rory's comments about the under-20s, again, we're both involved in this because there's 5 Derry lads named under-20s in the squad. And of course, Derry are playing yourselves in the championship 4 days later. They're playing our under-20s. In that game, there was a request to bring that forward, Ger. Were you surprised that wasn't agreed to? Because it seems a wee bit crazy, if a player's going to play an under-20 championship match and then 3 days later play an Ulster championship game.
Yeah, I think it's a very strange one, Brendan, because, if a rule's put in, I think it should apply across both the league and the championship. But this rule is only affecting the championship only, is my understanding, because if it did affect the league, well then Ronan McCaffrey, who played for our under-20s, and Finan O'Brien, they wouldn't have been allowed to play in that game there at the weekend. So it only is applicable to from what I can see is championship football, and I think it's grossly unfair that players that are good enough to play further at senior level and evidently are under 20 are now being penalised, and there's a decision to be made now between whether they play in that under 20 game against Donegal or Rory pulls them and keeps them for the senior game. I don't think for young lads at that age that they should be in the mix. They have enough on their plates, between their work and maybe their college and whatever's going on in their lives, without having that brought into the equation as well. So I think it's something that I would agree with Rory, that it's something that needs to be looked at and addressed. And I suppose maybe it is strange that if Donegal maybe were happy to bring the game forward, I don't know whether they were or not, that request was turned down.
Yeah, and I think just over the weekend, different teams will look at it because the championship's coming down the track so quick. These games were all a small bit of shadow boxing. I know. Listen, Derry will take great heart, particularly in the first half when the Dublin just couldn't break through that line, and we said that couldn't work at Croke Park. But then again, this isn't the Dublin team of before, and this Derry team is as well drilled the sides I've ever seen. So they really had their number, but then the goals killed them second half. But to see a 4-6 scoreline in modern football is it's a strange thing, Jerry. Ultimately easily won the game for them, but it's something that you would have thrown back to some game from another era.
Yeah, it was strange. I was at the game, and I thought to myself at half time, Derry were in control of the game. They should have been further in front. But I suppose the second half took on a different dimension altogether. I think the loss of Conor Glass had a really significant impact on the game. Derry looked lost in the middle of the field once Glass went off, and Dublin got their kickouts away very, very easily, and they had the bulk of the possession, and I suppose they made the maximum advantage with that possession. They scored 4 goals and 2 points in the second half. If somebody told me a Rory Gallagher side would concede that in 35 minutes of football, I wouldn't believe it, but they did, and I suppose it maybe shows up that if you take the likes of Conor Glass, Chrissy McCaig and young Owen McAvoy out of that Derry team, about 3 really, really important players, but I expect that they'll be back for the championship against ourselves. So I wouldn't be reading too much into what happened yesterday, to be honest. I think it'll maybe give Derry the shake-up that they maybe needed at this juncture.
Yeah. And Ger, tell me, you're obviously a proud Fermanagh man. You're always promoting and helping the county. I know you're a GAA man at its heart, but you're such a driving force behind Fermanagh. You're on the verge of a big promotion push there to bring in funds.
Yeah, I suppose I had to go on the role of chairman of Club Ernia back in 2014, Brendan, and over the last, whatever it is, 9 years or whatever, we have consistently brought in the region of maybe £200,000 per annum, which is absolutely crucial funding to sustain the GAA in Fermanagh. And but I suppose working closely with people that are unified and have a vision and unity of purpose, I would say, has been a pleasure. Working with the county board, and I suppose when you think of me saying that, and then you maybe hear what's going on in your own county, it's brilliant that there is such a unified approach and unity of purpose. So I suppose there's big plans, Brendan, to develop the centre at Liston. Like I've been down at Convoy a few times, and I see what you guys have down there with your 4 pitches or 5 pitches now, or whatever it is, and then plus your pavilion and whatever, and your gym upstairs and your eating and meeting room and whatever. Top class facility. Look it up at Liston. Liston has been very good. Liston, the Fermanagh GAA training centre is just located outside in Enniskillen as you head out for Temple. It's a fine centre, but look, there's only 2 training pitches there. There's a relatively small dressing room complex, a mobile eating room and meeting room as such, and a very, very small gym. So for us to go forward and develop our footballers and our hurlers and our ladies teams, we need more pitches and we need a fit-for-purpose sports pavilion. So, long story short, Brendan, the development committee in Fermanagh have now a project in place to develop a new training centre with the 2 pitches and the new building, whatever. That's going to cost $4.5 million. And I've been working closely with the chairman of that committee, and I suppose we agreed that if we're ever going to go and look for funding, whether you're going to your council, your local council, or you're going to Croke Park, or you're going to the Ulster Council, you're going to have some money in your own back pocket. So we decided that we would try and raise £1 million through Win a House in Fermanagh competition, and that started last September, and it will culminate this day week. 7 days' time, somebody that has purchased a ticket will win a brand new 4-bedroom house worth £300,000 in the heart of Enniskillen. It's an absolutely fantastic prize, a fantastic house in a great location in a lovely town. So that's the prize, and that's what's going to happen next Monday night in the Westfield Hotel.
Magic stuff, Ger. Magic stuff. Well, listen, Ger, you send me on a wee link date there again. I think I did give you a blast out already, but I'll fire it up on Twitter. I want to wish you all the best with the draw, and thanks so much for giving us a wee bit of info this evening there, Ger. Always great to talk.
No bother. And look, if anybody can help us out, just go on to www.winahouseInFermanagh.com, and I suppose I'll remind all Donegal people that when they had their Win a House in Dublin competition, the likes of Mick McGrath and Michael Oliver McMahon came up to Fermanagh and sold loads and loads of tickets. So it's our turn now, Brendan. So
it's your turn now.
The Donegal people will help us out.
We will indeed, and then we'll move to Enniskillen and live in that house. We'll invade. Sure, listen, no problem at all. I hope a Donegal person wants it. That'll be like you could trust we bought a few tickets. Good man.
Listen, I hope to buy plenty in the next 7 days, because this week somebody will win. It's only £100 a ticket.
Sound job, good man, Ger. Take her handy, kid. Take her handy.
Good talk as ever, Brendan.
Aye, fair play.
Take care of yourself.
Fair play, Ger Treacy. Well done there. After this advertisement break, we have the great Nadine Doherty. I'm really looking forward to this talk. She's coming up after this break.
The DL Debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Sarah's Kitchen. And there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
At TK Maxx, our buyers go to the moon and back to bring you ridiculous deals on big brands like totally out of this world scented candles and big name beauty that doesn't cost the earth. So no need to compromise on quality to feel wow for less. Pop to your nearest TK Maxx for fresh stock landing weekly.
The choices we make determine where we're going. Where will your choices take you? Visit Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny or Mount Charles, and join the thousands of Irish drivers who swap diesel for Toyota Hybrid Electric, lowering their emissions and fuel costs. We've Ireland's widest hybrid electric range, including the Toyota CHR and Yaris Cross. Don't miss out. Order today at Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny or Mount Charles. You'll never take a wrong turn with Toyota. Built for a better world.
Bluebird Care are looking for you. Bluebird Care are currently seeking carers and nurses to join their ever-expanding team. Immediate starts for carers in all parts of the county, especially Letterkenny, Inishowen and Donegal Town. Bluebird Care are also looking for registered general nurses for day and nighttime 12-hour shifts. Contact Bluebird Care on 07491 9562 or bluebirdcare.ie and bring care home.
Your voice, your station.
On Highland Radio. Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio.
Yes, we're getting Nadine Doherty on there. Nadine, could you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, great, Nadine. I'm just putting up your mic here, getting you on, hearing us loud and clear. Good on you. All the way from Dublin, where you're residing now. Nadine, the wee woman from Hawthorne Heights first, never mind Dublin. Nadine, I was just looking through your career. First of all, welcome to Life Stories on the DL Debate. Fantastic to have you on.
Lovely to be on now. Looking forward to it.
Oh, listen, fair play. Nadine, I was looking back, I just taken aback by this. You know, I obviously got a decent education. That night we had a talk in O'Donnell Park when the Unions ladies got together, of course, to reminisce about that fantastic team you had, and I was blown away by some of that. But then when I looked at your personal stuff, I mean, Nadine, jumping in just straight into this, you know, you started playing for St Unions ladies when you're 12 years of age. I mean, it doesn't seem possible. You first played for Donegal when you were 15. I'm sitting going, shaking my head, going, how is this possible? But Nadine, the start of your playing, obviously you were mad keen on the all sports, but that start in the ladies football, it was a real early baptism into the senior game, the ladies game.
Yeah, I suppose it was very different back then, Brendan. You know, like I was trying to think. I think I was about 10 when a few of us from school wandered down to Unions, and I suppose that was around 92. And Donegal, the men, had won the All Ireland, so I suppose that was a bit of a springboard for the county in a sense. And just even my own environment growing up, like Hawthorne Heights, it was in the middle of the town, but geez, you know, we were blessed with green areas, and I think that's a huge thing that's missing now for kids. Like, you had your choice of going down to the all-weather pitch or going up Paddy Gallagher's fields or going down to St Junans to the grass pitch or even up to the square on the street. Like, we would just play football anywhere. So yeah, I was about 10, wandered down to Unions, and then straight in, I think there was an under-14 team, and then like I was 12 playing senior, but I mean Debbie Lee Fox was probably 14, 15, like Anne Doherty was, I'd say Anne was about 12 as well. So it was just a done thing, but it is mad. Like now, whatever, 30 years later, it's kind of crazy that happened, even from a child protection point of view. Yeah. But yeah, we were just mad to play football. And Kevin Barron, the manager at the time, I think his motto was always, you know, if you were good enough, you were old enough. And he obviously thought we were good enough. And we came into a Unions team that, you know, ladies football was just starting, but Unions they'd won everything. I think they'd won 2 or 3 at that stage. And now we came in, my first game actually when I was 12 in 95 was against Arua, as you would have found out that night. Like, we were big rivals, and Arua beat us in that game. It was the semi-final, the county semi-final. So sure, as a 12-year-old, the devastation, the tears and everything, I'd say Mommy had to console me for about a week. But then after that, yeah, we just went on a roll, Brendan, for years and years. And I was just so privileged to have been part of that team because, geez, they're just unbelievable footballers and just unbelievable organisation so long ago. You know, like as I said, Kevin Barron was way ahead of his time in terms of coaching, and even the players we had were way ahead of their time in terms of their thinking, you know, on the ball. So yeah, it was just a privilege, Brendan. It really was. It was unbelievable.
That's interesting, because that's the very thing that a lot of people have said about you in terms of being ahead of your time, and how your approach to the game was ahead of their time, and even Maxie Curran talked about that. And it's interesting that was your first year, Nadine, because your timing after that was impeccable in terms of winning championships and being in the right place at the right time throughout the rest of your career. But that Unions team then, that was their only blip out of 14, was it, in championships? That was
I think so. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
You of course,
yeah, it was
you went on to win like 7 championships, 3 Ulsters, and of course played in an All-Ireland final. That's just said Unions. There's a lot more to come and around that, but that's just taking it from a Unions perspective, Nadine. So in many ways, I know we finished up early and the travel and all that had a lot to do with that, but you did start it pretty early, so it still was such a massive time frame. You had so many teams you played for.
It was massive, and like I look back even with school, you know, like we had brilliant teams in school, because you would have had like Terman girls, St Michael's, you know, you would have had so many other players from around the county. So I just remember back to those years from, say, like 95 until I suppose I did my leave, and then I think it was 99. You would have been training at lunchtime with, say, basketball or soccer. You would have had training after school with basketball, soccer, Gaelic with the school team. Then you would have gone on and you probably had underage training, say at 6 o'clock, and then you stay on for senior training after that. So like 5 days a week, you probably had 4 training sessions, but we loved it, Brendan. Like, you know, and even listening to you chatting, like during the week, you were the same. You just played everything. Like that was the way it was. And I just think that improved everybody's skill set. Again, it's in burnout and child protection that they don't do it now. But, you know, I think everybody in that team appreciated what the others were doing in terms of other sports, in terms of their training. And listen, that team itself, you know, the 6-7 years then after that, it just worked and it just clicked, and there was huge strength and depth as well, Brendan. Like Kevin and Hugh McClafferty and Cormac McCormick, all the managers at the time, they really trusted us, you know. And like I have, like the memory would be a bit sketchy now at this stage, you know. I just remember, say, like Brona Gallagher in goals, there was huge trust. Like you always know Brona, you knew she'd nail the kickouts. And then I just always remember looking back at our defenders, because like I was this little skinny thing up front and full forward, and sure, like everybody would just get the ball up to you. But I just remember looking at our defenders, and you just knew any time that ball crossed the halfway line that they'd sorted out, as your Maria used to say. But yeah, listen, you could go on for hours, but it was genuinely just such a privilege to have played with all of those players. And yeah, I suppose then when it was I think 2000, then I headed off to America for a couple of years, and that was very different.
And of course, happened to win a championship out there. I'm not surprised. Everywhere you went, something happened. And just before we get off the Unions ones, I have to say, obviously your mum and your aunt and all them huge supporters, and Harry Blake, God rest him, and the stories. Yeah. And there's one small story, and I love these ones. Al McCavan was talking with you on the flight and your excitement, just being on the flight heading over, because you were so young. And they were saying, only for the windows were so small, you would have hopped out them when it landed, and this kind of thing, you know. And she was saying the buzz that you brought there, the energy, you know, it was such amazing times. Heading to London to play like an All-Ireland semi-final in club, you know, was such a massive time. And the response from the town when you come back, and of course the stories of Blake's Bar and Charlie doing the commentary and the whole buzz around that, you really captured something very special at that time.
It was unbelievable. And listen, Charlie Harvey, Harry Blake, Paddy Gallagher and family members, they were our supporters who never missed a game. But yeah, I remember going over to the game in London. As you said, Bran, like you're 15, going over to London to play in an All-Ireland Club final. It was only, you know, as an adult then you look back and you think, geez, that was just, it was unheard of. But I remember my real memory from that trip was after we'd won the match, obviously, in the celebrations and the whole lot, and obviously we all went to bed a bit earlier than the rest, but we all went shopping in London the next day, and every single one of us came back with a 3-stripe Adidas tracksuit. So going around the convent, you had every colour of the 3-stripe tracksuit. I think I got a green and navy one. Sure, we thought we were absolutely unbelievable between getting to an All-Ireland final and having the Adidas. We thought we were brilliant. But yeah, listen, just amazing times. And there's beautiful memories from that weekend, you know. And we all recounted them at the night that you emceed a few weeks ago. But and that was the thing too, Brendan, the crack. Like, you know, you can talk about the football all day, and it was amazing. But I think that team stayed together for so long because of the friendships that were formed and because of the crack often on the pitch and Blake's, and even at training. You know, just the crack and the slagging. And while we didn't take ourselves too seriously, we did take the football seriously as well. But you know, I just think, maybe nowadays, and we'll probably get on to that later, that the crack has just kind of been squeezed out of it, even at club level. You know, it's slowly been squeezed out. So we had it all.
See
so
from
lucky.
that night, the team where the under 20 or under 21s unions had won the championship, and I was looking at Hugh's group of amazing women, but the crack, the characters you are individually, and then as a group, and I was looking at them thinking, I just can't see any way that you're going to have as much crack as that. There's nothing against them, it's just the way things is set up. But Nadine, we just mentioned New York there. Of course, you land back with impeccable timing, as I was saying, because Donegal lost an All-Ireland final. They were going for a second one. They needed a wee bit of extra quality, and you certainly provided that. I'm going to take you up on that just after this break, all right?
The DL Debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Sarah's Kitchen. And there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
Quality assured Irish meat. Choose centre cut Irish ham, a rack of Irish lamb with all the trimmings, or a tender cut of beef like our sirloin roast. That's 20% off a great selection of mains for your Easter meal. Plus, you can save again at the till with our 10 off 50 grocery vouchers. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Vouchering abused in next grocery shop of €50 or more.
The world is getting a little more. But maybe more could mean something else. More means more proactive green energy solutions. More means more wind turbines and more recycling. More means more biodiversity and more energy storage. More means more hydrogen and more solar farms, because more clean energy means more efficient living, means more thriving communities, means more energy autonomy. That's why we're more than Mona. Learn more at morethanmona.ie. Board na Mona.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
Do you need a little extra help staying in your home? At Bluebird Care, we offer a wide variety of QMark-approved personalised home care services across Donegal. And our fully trained and committed staff will always meet your care needs with kindness, compassion and dignity. To get your personal home care assessment plan, visit bluebirdcare.ie or call our care team today on 07491 29562 and bring care home.
The DL Debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Sarah's Kitchen. And there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
Welcome back. As I say, this is Life Stories, and I'm with Nadine Doherty, affectionately known as Doc, of course, to her teammates. And we're at 2003, so Nadine basically has won almost everything in sight. She's also won a championship with Cavan out in New York. Had a spell there, which is great for anybody. Live abroad for a few years, but come back. And Donegal had been beaten the year before in the All-Ireland Junior final, and Nadine landed back in the Maxi Curran squad, and Donegal went all the way. Nadine, what's your memories of that? And was there any notice that you might stay another year in New York? Why did you decide to come home exactly?
Yeah, so 2002, she said the girls got to the final, and I'd always been in touch with Mo, you know, and Doc and a few of them, and when they lost that final, you know yourself, poor Mo isn't great now with the Isle celebrating or getting over things when it lasts more than 2 days. So she rang me, or I rang her. Anyway, we were in touch, and she said, "Oh, come home. You know, we're really close. Would you consider coming home?" So I was considering staying on, Brendan, to be honest. I was kind of in between, and I was looking at college as well and going back to college. So, look, I made the decision to do teaching because it kind of was the best job to be able to play football nearly as professional as you could. So I applied, got teaching at Pats, and then came back in 2003. And now initially, oh geez, I was in bad shape, as you can imagine, after 3 years in New York. So I had a few New York pounds to shift and a lot of fitness to catch up on, like, because those girls were coming off the back of an All-Ireland run and, you know, a good league campaign. So Maxie made me wait it out. Now, I didn't start the first round of the championship. Me and Mo were sitting on the bench. I don't know why. She had a few pounds to lose maybe or something as well. But listen, it ended up just that team was a very special team as well, Bren. But it just ended up clicking that year. Like, we had a tough first round against Armagh. I think we only beat them by a goal in the end up, and then we performed really well in the rest of Ulster, and we beat Cavan well in the Ulster final. We had a nice quarter-final draw against Sligo at home, the quarter-final or semi-final, and then like Kildare had been really, really good. I mean, Donegal had got it tied against Kildare for a few years before that, but we just got into that final. So Brendan, you would have been at it, and like the game was over by half time. It just clicked. I remember Kelly Lacey, Yvonne McMonigal, Mo scored 9 points. I think she scored 4 of her left and 5 of her right. And, you know, your Maria came on at halftime. There's so many to mention, but it really clicked. And that year, very special. I suppose it was.
You and Mo would have clicked together, Nadine.
Yeah, you know, me and Mo just had because we played soccer together for so long, and like I was, I suppose, with Donegal then, I'd moved out to centre forward and Mo was inside, and you know, you just get somebody, Bren, that you can bounce off, and I knew where she'd be, and she used to always say to me before a match, "Now, I don't want to do too much running here, so just make sure you drop it into the right place." So I always had her legs in mind, yes. But yeah, we were always able to find each other, and sure, listen, Mo, there's no better finisher in Donegal at that stage than Mo. So yeah, look, it just clicked.
Outside of the brilliance of that victory and everything that gone before it, something that has been said many times again was that, my God, she enjoyed her life, that she played hard and she partied hard. Is that it's coming up too often, Nadine, for it not to be a truth?
Brent, listen, I'd never deny that. That's what it was all about. Like I train as hard as anybody on that pitch, and you'd behave yourself for a couple of months, but there's no better crack on a night out than with the football girls, and there's no better night out than if you've won a big game, be it a county final, be it an Ulster final. Listen, be it if you have a couple of weeks off training and you all meet up and go out. But definitely, I'll never deny that one, and that's definitely my ethos. It doesn't really go down too well nowadays, you know, with all these professional setups. But we had a good time. We had a very good time, and you know, no more than yourselves, there weren't very many people on that team who said, "Come on, girls, I think it's time to call it a night." We should leave it now.
There was some bunch. Maybe just 2004, I suppose, that quarter final with Dublin. You know, the team was on a great trajectory at that time. Did you think that was one of the years where maybe?
Yeah.
I know there's been quite a few around that time and since, but that year for you was one of the ones that you felt you could have went all the way in the senior.
Yeah, it was just pivotal because, as you said, we were on the crest of a wave. And I remember in 2004, we lost the Ulster final that year very narrowly to Monaghan, and we'd had a couple of injuries. And I'll never forget, the draw was made that during our match. So when we came off, we knew that we got Dublin that quarter final. And I remember Maxie being absolutely delighted. And like, that was one thing about Maxie, he instilled huge confidence in you, no matter who you were playing. You know, he would have you. You know, and rightly so. You know, he had us thinking, yeah, we'll beat Dublin, and we went down to Longford, and listen, it was a wild game. I think there were about 7 sin bins between both teams, and it was swinging over and back, and it was level after full time, went to extra time, and I think there were about 30 or 40 seconds left on the countdown clock. I think it was just brought in that year. And we were up by 2 points, and Angie McNally scored an absolute screamer of a goal. There was nothing anybody could do. She scored a screamer of a goal, and they won by a point, and they went on to the final. They didn't win it, but we always felt that we would have taken that Galway team who won it that year. And I just think with that team, that team kind of started to wind down then in 07 and 06, even 07. And I felt had we got over that Dublin game, you never know. You never know. And I don't even have a regret about it, because I honestly don't think anybody on that day could have done anything more. Like, I think Sheila Campbell got a helicopter, got a lift. It was her sister's wedding. Everybody did everything possible. But listen, yourself, some days, these days just don't go your way. But it was one of the, you identify one of those games where if things had been different, who knows what the future would have held for that team.
Yeah, indeed. And Nadine, just looking, you've captained loads of teams. I mean, earlier on at St. Pat's Drumcondom, you were doing your teacher training. You captained Donegal as well. You were going up and down the road, obviously, then, and you decided to transfer to Na Fianna. You captained them. Of course, they won their first championship as well. And what was that like? They didn't go in there like a new team, a new set of people again. Were they as crazy as the Donegal crew? I can't imagine they were. Or were they?
Well, they were.
You led them astray.
We finished with them. Yeah. Do you know what it was, Brendan? With that, it was a hard enough decision, but I was 27 at the time, and Unions had gone through, I suppose, or were going through a transition. I grew up playing with the Donna Kavanaghs, the Leland McCuskers, the Liz Gordons. Debbie Lee had moved on. Maria got married, and things were kind of breaking up. And it was a selfish enough decision, Brendan, to be honest, because I knew in my heart I don't know, there are 5 or 6 years of really good football left in me, and I didn't have the leadership in me to go through a transition period with Union. And so I moved on to Na Fianna, and like when I joined Na Fianna, I trained with them a few times. I knew 1 or 2 girls, and I'd been on the All-Star trip the year before, and Bernie Finlay, who would have played with Dublin, just got chatting to Bernie, and I ended up going to Na Fianna, and we had really good times. But, we ended up, Brendan, we were players all of kind of the same era. We were kind of all the same age, very, very driven. Everybody was really driven. Like, I remember Denise Cassidy, she'd be from over St. Knowles. Denise would have joined a year or 2 later. Like, I'm really sure she came to training one night with like a blow dry and a full face of makeup, and then went out after to like some work presentation because she didn't want to miss training. But there was a huge drive there, and yeah, we won 4 Dublin championships and a Leinster, and again lost an All-Ireland club final. But while it would have been lovely to have stayed on with St. Unions for my whole career, I think from a football and just a selfish point of view, I am glad that I made the move, because I was able to play. Listen, we had a squad, like it was like an inter-county team really, so I still played that really, really high standard of football, and it was a serious standard of training until the legs gave in at, I think it was 2014 when I finished up in Na Fianna.
Yes, and I think, listen, you obviously you've coached and been the selectors with Westmeath and Manny's, Na Fianna. You're deputy principal. Dublin's your home there now. You're obviously doing stuff with Game On, writing an article with Sunday Independent. You're still knee deep in the GAA, no matter what way it turns. You're there. It's just something that's part of your life, and you love that side of things?
Yeah, absolutely, Brendan. I suppose with the coaching, the last year I played with Na Fianna, there was a fella from Westmeath, Niall Williams. He was our coach, and he was just, you come across these few coaches in your life and they have a huge impact on you. And Niall got offered the Westmeath job the following year, and he knew I was finishing up at Na Fianna, so he asked me to go in with him. And I did it for 2 years, and it was a huge learning curve that I've kind of taken even into my own professional life, being deputy principal in the school. And I just think sport has such an important influence on your life off the pitch as well. It gets you places, it takes you places, and it keeps you going. But yeah, so then with the media stuff, I suppose kind of, like yourself, never really planned on getting into it at all. It just kind of fell into it. It was again over a few drinks in Crow Park, in the Crow Park Hotel, and just got chatting to this guy who had a small podcast going at the time, and I did that with him. It was called Sports Girls, and I did that with him for a year. And then Marie Crowe, who hosts Game On, Marie rang me to see if I'd come on to Game On one evening, and because she said that she used to prep for Game On by listening to me on the podcast. So she thought, sure, I'll just get her in to do it with us. So yeah, I've been with Game On now for 3 years, and then the Sunday Independent. Again, a kind of chance thing came up that the editor asked Marie of Game On, did she know anybody who'd be able to write an article like the next day? It was during COVID. I think the Monaghan under 16s they'd won Ulster, but then the Ladies Gaelic Association weren't playing in All-Ireland Championships. So anyway, I wrote a piece on that, and yeah, just forged a good relationship with John Green, the editor, and we work together now pretty much weekly. So it's really enjoyable, and as you said, it's just a great way to stay involved in the game, and because the way football is going now, there'd be days I wouldn't really switch on the telly unless I had to for media stuff. So it's good in that sense to stay in touch, and it's just a nice distraction from the grind of teaching. I'm in that 17 years now, and you can kind of just get into I suppose just a habit of teaching at home and doing nothing. So the media stuff is brilliant. Very busy though, very busy.
Yeah, listen, Nadine, I think you're brilliant at it. It comes natural to you, which I think is the main thing in that. And of course, being the player that you are, that's already backed up. It's interesting, actually. I just give Maxie, of course, is on a beach somewhere in Greece. I think he's some man for the holidays. This boy, I mean, it's not bad enough that he has downings anyway at his feet. He has to head off some other beach. But he was saying that you now obviously have to talk about Donegal and be critical about Donegal, but he says that he doesn't mind that because he respects you so much. And I thought that was a brilliant comment from him, because sometimes it would be hard hearing it and be hard for you to write it, but you're honest. And I think that's probably one of the reasons you're a captain as well, Nadine. Even though you have to call it sometimes, it is from a respectful manner, and you still have to call it as you see it. Otherwise, there's no point in talking.
100%, Brendan, and thankfully with the girls there for a number of years, you didn't have to be overly critical too often. But I think women's sport has moved on in a sense. When we were playing, Brendan, the match report was lovely and nobody ever played bad and everybody was great. And while we got brilliant coverage, it was a wee bit, I wouldn't say vanilla, but it was very, very positive. And I think now that the modern female player, I think they respect journalists and critics when, as Maxie would say, you call it as it is, because you want to respect them in that sense. It's not calling people out, but it's just commenting on the game the way you see it. But they always give me a bit of slagging in Game On now about Donegal, because I've been tipping them for success for the last few years, and in RTE they're always slagging me. But yeah, no more than yourself, friend. Like having played for Donegal yourself, it is hard. And yeah. So with the girls, there aren't too many girls left who I would have played with in that sense, and I wouldn't know too many of them. But you don't like being critical, but as you said, you have to give an honest opinion and an honest view on it, because it's to respect the girls more so than anything,
Yeah, and I suppose there's one of them ones where you can open it up by saying of a player of that quality, you've dropped standards. You can open it up in terms of saying, right, from compared to where that player's at, this isn't their form, or there's ways of dressing it up without being like completely cold on it. Quite often there, if you have a top player, you just have to call it, Nadine. But listen, life's good up there in Dublin at the minute. You're just flat out at everything. I know you're in constant contact with the girls, and you had a few influences. Even my sister. I mean, I can't imagine the two of yous, even the two yous on a night out. Never mind everybody else throwing the Kavanaghs in and all the crazies with that. But you still stay in touch with everybody and still would be swapping messages and keeping in contact.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a Union's WhatsApp group there that it gets lit every so often, and obviously you're Maria, would be one of my closest friends still, and Mo, and we're heading off on an I'll catch up now in a few weeks, the three of us, and just as I said, that Union's reunion was lovely too, Brendan, and we're hoping to do a Donegal reunion very, very soon. I was chatting to Frances Keane there last week. Frank would have played full forward for us, and that 03 team. She had a big birthday there now during the week. I won't say what age, but we're saying we have to get it's 20 years since we won that Junior All Ireland. So hopefully that will be the next catch up for all that gang.
Them things scare you, Nadine. Them 20. When somebody says 20 years, like, oh, not a second. What?
I know, Brendan. It does.
Whenever championships is coming up there, your 25 years things and that. when I used to see them when I was playing in them, you know, the team would come out and they all looked like old men. No heart, but they felt like the old man. Now I'm thinking, is that me? I look like an old geezer now. I come out waving to the crowd. How did this happen so quick, you know?
Oh no, I think we have a few years left before we look that old now. I think we're safe enough. Thankfully, I started when I was 12. Fake it, yes. Make it for a while.
Yeah, brilliant. Nadine, absolutely fantastic. Listen, of course, we have to give a mention to Siobhan. You know, you're a lovely couple. You were so good to my family there when Dad was going through treatment and that as well. So fair play to the two of you there. Listen, it was great to meet you. And listen, as ever, Nadine, what a way to start off the show in terms of looking at life stories. I mean, your one is amazing. I think it needs to be encapsulated some way that people can read what you've done, Nadine, because I was just blown away with it. What a brilliant first grace. What a great woman you are. I really want to thank you for taking the time to talk to us this evening.
Lovely, Brendan. I think my mother has it all in scrapbooks at home in Letterkenny, so it'll never be gone. And we loved having you and all the family up here in Dublin, and we'll get you back up again for sure. Thanks a million.
Much appreciated, Nadine. Take care. I'll catch up with you soon.
Lovely, Brendan. Bye-bye.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, Nadine Doherty there. Fantastic stuff. I want to thank her so much. That was brilliant. I want to thank Ger Treacy earlier for his input to the show. Of course, the brilliant Joe Dex here for keeping me right. And the Monday night session guys, they're waving at me. They're ready to get the place rocking. Hey lads, take it away. I will speak to you actually not next week, the week after. It's a bank holiday. We'll be back and Colin McFadden will be joining us for life stories. I'll speak to you all then.
Check this.
Yeah.